Good benefit.
Both of my cell phones. Oh.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is the December 1st, 9:30 strategic planning meeting. Our budget hearing ran a little over, so for the record, it is 10:22. All 5 commissioners are present. Commissioner CUNY is virtual today. She is on county business. In the conference room, we have 4 commissioners, Jordan, Waldrop, French, and Kearns. And we are going to lead off with a presentation from our prosecuting attorney's office. So I will hand it over to Matt to introduce our guest today.
We have a brief 90-minute to 120-minute code amendment presentation. Just kidding. We've got Jameson Dumo here and Brooks Schott. They've worked on a couple of amendments to our code. The first one is nuisance enforcement and the second is camping. So I'll keep it over to you.
Recording in
So
progress.
there are slides that I was planning to use. I don't see them up there, but that's totally fine. It's something that you're probably familiar with. So nuisances and code enforcement has been a topic amongst all of us for quite some time now. We've all determined that as it stands, it's largely pretty ineffective. We don't have great procedures for going forward with code enforcement or remedies available to even be able to pursue these things. So what I've done is I've rewritten our existing nuisance code to streamline our code enforcement procedures and also provide for a code enforcement officer role whose job it can be is to tackle these things. Now, we have a bajillion code violations that we see across the county all the time, especially in Commissioner Curran's and Commissioner French's districts, where you see junk vehicles, or in Commissioner Cooney's district, and I don't know if she's on Zoom here, where you have businesses being run out of residences that we don't necessarily want to encourage. We can make available to us nuisance abatements, or at the bare minimum, civil solutions to these nuisances. And that's the goal of this code. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of tapping through the pages here. Yeah, you can skip that one. So here's another one. We see a lot of dangerous and abandoned structures. You can skip this one. We see junk vehicles, people living out of RVs, which perpetuate a lot of blight, solid waste. You can see pretty extreme cases up here on the screen, and I've probably shown you these pictures before, but these are the most extreme of the extreme, where you see tons and tons and tons of garbage, junk vehicles, general waste being established on properties that aren't getting cleaned up. And our existing processes don't have a fantastic way of dealing with it. So with these code amendments, the idea is we can nudge violators or violating property owners into compliance with our code. As it stands, they're not allowed to do this stuff, but with the way that our current civil procedures work, it's almost like they're getting a pass because we can't effectively remedy the situation. And so what we're introducing is a resolution that adopts new language. It makes it very clear what the procedures are, and B, it decriminalizes a lot of these violations so that we don't have to be concerned about adding to our caseload standards at all. We don't have to worry about a higher burden of proof in a criminal court, and we can pursue civil infractions instead. That's something that's provided for by state statutes. All we have to do is adopt it for these specific violations, and that's what this code does. So they have nudge after nudge after nudge towards compliance. We expect it to be much more efficient and remedial than as it stands. Please.
So on the picture on the left, I own all the property surrounding that eyesore. What is it that I have to do to get rid of the eyesore?
To get rid of the eyesore, and hypothetically, let's walk through with.
Yeah, I'm just looking for you to walk me
Sure.
through the process so
Sure.
that I can.
So once we have this new code and we have someone who can go out and actually enforce the code, what happens is they go out, they attempt to establish some sort of contact with the property owner. They try and get them to voluntarily comply and clean it up. And now, knowing this case, I know that probably wouldn't happen. So what they do is issue them a notice of violation that just details exactly what's going on and how they can fix it, and it gives them notice, an opportunity to be heard, an opportunity to cure. If they don't do that voluntarily, then we issue civil infractions. And the way it's written is for $250 a day per violation every day that violation exists. So it's not like they get one and they can just pay it and go on about their day. It's they get one today, one tomorrow, one the next day, until they are nudged into compliance. And if they, after all of that, decide they still don't want to comply, it can be referred to us for an abatement, where the civil prosecuting attorneys get the discretion to pursue these cases, and we can work with the code enforcement officers in the multiple departments of Spokane County, like planning or building or solid waste, whoever it might be, in order to contract out and go out and haul all this stuff away. Now, that costs money. Obviously, we're well aware of that at this point. The way we recoup that is once we get to the point of abatement, we can file a special assessment lien against the property to recoup later on.
So Jameson, what's the difference between the civil infractions and this abatement process that you're talking about?
Sure, so civil infraction, you give
Talk
them,
about the abatement process.
you give them their notice, go through infractions, doesn't work. The abatement process is as simple as they refer to us, we build the case, we file it, we go to court, get a warrant of abatement that just lets us go on and do what needs to happen in order to remedy the situation to our satisfaction.
So I'm gonna show up in court, I'm gonna go, well, I clean up the property, but they've levied all these fines against me and I don't have the money to pay for cleaning up the property.
So if they don't have the money, so to clarify, they've cleaned it up or they haven't cleaned it up.
I've not cleaned it up.
So if they have not cleaned it up, but they've made attempts to be compliant with us, they can enter what is called a voluntary abatement agreement, and that's in the new code as well. It's an abatement agreement between the owner or the violator and us, which allows us to go in, clean it up as need be, and we can still lien the property later on.
Okay. So we can clean up the property even if they don't want us to.
If they don't want us to, we go to court. If they do want us to, abatement agreement.
Commissioner Cuny?
Yeah, I just want to say, James and I, we met with one of my constituents who was very upset with activity going on next to her business, and she likes this idea of going this route because she didn't want to have criminal charges. She just wanted to have something to try to, get her neighbor to come into compliance. But she also didn't want to have it be a criminal charge. So I think this is a great way for a lot of neighbors who want to stay neighbors to be able to continue to work together and give us the ability to help them, get into compliance. So I see this as a good thing, and Jameson was great when we met with her and explained what was happening, and she was very supportive of this idea. So I think it's good.
So I see the property is unoccupied. And where that red dot is, that's the trailer mobile home. I'm gonna break into it and I'm gonna occupy it, which makes me a squatter. And now you can't evict me,
Yes, we can.
can you?
The county can through a warrant of abatement. So part of our definition in the new code section is for an abandoned property. An abandoned property is left open and unsecured and subject to unauthorized occupation. So if we can prove that that squatter is there without permission, it is defined and meets the definition of an abandoned property, and that gets us in the door for a warrant of abatement in Superior Court.
Okay,
You can skip forward.
sharing with you my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
My
owner you
experience
can't,
too.
but we can.
well, because if you had that property inside the city and you called the sheriff, city police to say, hey, I got a squatter on my property.
I think you can go.
So they'll go, sucks to be you.
Yep.
They won't do anything. Then you gotta go to court.
So as you can see on this screen, these are largely the changes that are being made. We're repealing the language, we're amending it to encompass the prevalent code violations. So we'll say, a violation of Title 14, the zoning code, or Title 3, the building code. We can funnel these things into nuisances so we can pursue them here. So that's one of the largest replacements in the language. It also specifies who can enforce those provisions. There's an enforcement authority section. It doesn't divest anyone of power, but it gives additional power to a code enforcement officer, a law enforcement officer, the prosecuting attorney to be able to go and pursue these things at their discretion. So it's very inclusive. It's broad, but that's so that we aren't narrowing our scope of what we can actually pursue. We want to have discretion in what kinds of cases we can actually go after and look at what kind of impacts they're making so that we can decide which ones require the fastest remedy.
Jameson, you've called this out a couple of times, but I just wanted to draw your attention to it. So that's one of the changes, is that it gives the prosecuting attorney authority for when to file an abatement case. So we don't have to go before the board to get your approval every single time we want to get a warrant of abatement.
And I've been before you guys already to do exactly that. And at that point, you made it very known that you'd like to avoid having to see me again for that purpose. So that's what this aims to do as well. If you would.
Okay.
So again, we want to add in civil infractions. That's not something that we have right now. the civil process that we have right now requires putting us before the hearing examiner, who can or cannot assess fines or penalties that we would have to end up ultimately going to court anyways to try and retrieve. That's not going to be an issue here. This is something where we can file directly with the court, very similar to like a traffic infraction or something. Frankly, a prosecuting attorney doesn't even have to be there for these kinds of infractions. We do that kind of as a courtesy. But this is where the $250 comes in. It's not just one infraction, it can be multiple up until they come into compliance. And if they come into compliance, let's say before they've paid any money or before there's been a judgment entered against them, then we can issue them a certification of compliance. They can give that to the court or to the prosecuting attorney who might be there, and we can just dismiss as needed. So it's an additional nudge. And if they wind up remedying things, then it can all go away. And perhaps the largest part of this is going to be the people actually issuing those infractions, the people actually going out and enforcing our code or doing the investigations. As it stands, individuals from the multiple departments or our inspectors from building, our folks in planning, in their additional time, they go out and they investigate code complaints and stuff, but that shouldn't be the primary role of any of them. We want to make sure we have someone whose primary role it is to go out and investigate code violations, especially when they're particularly severe. So we don't want our building inspectors to go out and look for incredibly tiny code violations, or it's not particularly difficult for them to go out and say, hey, there's a house built here that's been completely unpermitted. That shouldn't be their primary role. So the idea is to give code enforcement officers the designated authority to go out, issue infractions, work with the public, and make sure that we're using this process as a civil remedy rather than as a heavy-handed hammering, if you will, for folks who've maybe in some of the cases like you described have historically struggled with maybe paying for things or are immobile and can't go out and clean up themselves. They can work with code enforcement officers to accomplish that goal.
So will the code enforcement officers be commissioned officers?
That's a great question. They can be given the authority of the board. They don't need commissioning by the sheriff, for example. I know that with some of our other clients like Scraps or something, they've had commissioned officers and they're starting to move away from that, but retain the authority through the board. And we expect the same for a code enforcement officer.
Okay. Will the 250 cover your cost?
There's the funding question, and that's perfect timing if you wouldn't mind.
Commissioner Jordan has raised his hand.
Hey, I was just wondering, I assume there's like a state RCW on point that allows or gives the counties the authority to adopt such a policy. Is it like an opt-in at the state level, and that's why we have to pass a specific code on it? And can you just help me understand that piece?
Yeah, generally speaking, there's RCW 7.80 and RCW 7.48, and then RCW 36, 32, 120. I think it's section 11 now. They just amended that, which is also reflected in our resolution. 36, 32, 120, 11 gives us the ability to create by ordinance to determine what nuisances are and go through the abatement process. Now, the infraction process is described in RCW 7.80, and that provides for enforcement officers wherever the section is adopted pursuant to 7.80. So that's what we're doing here for the infractions. 36, 32, and 2011 gives us our power to determine what a nuisance is and how we'd like to remedy it. And then 7.48 is our abatement process, much of which we've adopted in this new code as well.
So historically at the county, we've just never had this civil tool that we've had in our ordinance.
Correct, yes. So what we have currently is a civil process that lets us go out, issue a notice of violation, and then that goes before the hearing examiner. The hearing examiner can assess fines or penalties, but how you go about actually getting that money back as a judgment or something requires you to go to court anyways. This sidesteps that in a much more efficient manner and lets us just tackle the problems head on.
Thank you.
And if you wouldn't mind going forward one. So Al's question, I'm assuming, was related to funding. This is required maybe some creative solutions, but once you get down the line and you get to the point of, okay, we have an abatement that we need to file. As I said earlier, that results in a special assessment lien for any of the costs associated with conducting that abatement. But upfront, for the officer, for the work that they do, we, in working with Scott Simmons, have kind of determined with Kyle Twoweek that we can add additional charges to things like our solid waste fees to try and come up with the money here to fund that. So these are the expected outcomes. Ideally, we're going to be decriminalizing these. Okay.
Scott?
I'll let Jameson continue and then I'll chime in at the end.
Thanks, Scott. So overall, these are the expected outcomes. We're decriminalizing nuisances and violations. This removes the appointment of counsel. It gets rid of the raised burden of proof, going from beyond a reasonable doubt criminal court to by preponderance in civil court. It keeps non-standard cases from entering the criminal prosecutor's arena. They are very unfamiliar with nuisances, and for good reason. They're not the bulk of their cases, and frankly speaking, they should be prioritized over legitimate criminal matters. These are things that should be civil cases and dealt with accordingly. Gives us our civil process, like I described earlier, and ideally, it'll shorten the duration from the creation to the resolution of the code cases. We can actually tackle them in an efficient manner with someone whose job it is to tackle them in an efficient manner. Anything else? Scott, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Jameson, for all the work you've done on this. Matt and the rest of your team who's had a hand in it as well. Commissioners, you've regularly expressed some frustration with the lack of effectiveness and efficiency on our current methodology for being able to deal with code enforcement issues. It's been managed by a variety of our departments, and we've had no real single kind of source or single resource for it to come through and holistically look at a more effective way to resolve and address code enforcement complaints, whether it's nuisance, junk vehicles, even as was mentioned earlier, individuals operating businesses out of their home, which is not allowed in particular zoning areas. So whether it's our building team, our public works, solid waste team, or our planning team, we haven't had kind of a single point of entry into the county that is knowledgeable in these areas to manage and navigate all of the various complexities of our code. The criminal approach has not worked. We've seen many times where continuance after continuance is provided and doesn't result in a abatement or a corrective action being taken. So I think this approach here with the code changes is a lot more streamlined, provides the team with the ability to respond to these things. You'll notice that there is a reference to a code enforcement officer who, as Jameson said, would be commissioned by the board with certain powers and authority. We do have some ideas on funding for it. We've talked about solid waste fees to use for abatement. We've also got to solve on the staffing side of this. Should the board choose to adopt these code changes, we would then come back and share with all you what a resourcing model might look like and how we would be able to fund those in light of our challenging budget situations. The dollars that I think that could be available for the board to consider are not going to be a substantial amount of money. We're gonna have to be very prudent and thoughtful around which areas or properties we choose to go after for abatement. Eventually, this could be a self-sustaining funding mechanism as liens, if liens are required to be placed on properties and properties are sold in the future, it could start to be self-funding, but that's probably many, many years out. But at least having some seed dollars to be able to start this, I think will be very helpful. So that would be kind of the next step I would expect if the board is accepting of these code changes and want to adopt them. I do think it gives us a good framework then to be able to start being more robust and responsive for code enforcement and code compliance. As Jameson mentioned, the general idea here is you have voluntary compliance. We don't want to have to resort to leaning properties, but we also, I think you all want to be responsive to neighbors who are complaining against nuisance properties. And with these changes, I think the tools that will be available for us will be much more robust.
Commissioner Jordan.
Can you, I don't have a lot of experience with this topic, so I'm just trying to kind of get up to speed. But can you talk a little bit about the definitions of nuisance? I know you mentioned kind of junk cars and things like that. Can you add some more detail as to how those problematic issues are defined? And then under this proposal, who decides whether something is a nuisance? Is it up to the code compliance officer? Just trying to get a sense of where things fit within those definitional buckets, and then kind of who determines whether the violation has happened.
That's a great question, Commissioner Jordan. We have made the definition very broad. Nuisance comes in all different shapes and sizes. And really the definition under case law and our RCW state statute is anything that interferes with the quiet enjoyment of your neighbor. So if your activity on your property is interfering with the use and enjoyment of your neighbors, it's a nuisance. And so we tried to define it broadly so we can adequately address the variety of nuisance activities that we see. And then the way you regulate that broad definition is with the discretion of the code enforcement officer and the discretion of the prosecuting attorney, and also due process provided in court. So if property owner doesn't agree with the discretion of the code enforcement officer, then they can contest that in district court and a judge decides whether it is adequate or not. Same thing with a superior court action. For a warrant of abatement, you're going to have a superior court judge making that determination.
Thank you. And then if a property owner, well, let's say there was like a $250 fine levied, and the property owner said, I don't agree that what I'm doing is a nuisance. How do they practically end up in court? Do they have to file something to challenge that? Or what's the process for the property owner to dispute the finding or the claim?
Right, so the fine doesn't get levied as a property tax until you have a superior court judge making a finding of fact and a ruling on an order. So the first step is code enforcement issuing an infraction and that property owner contesting the infraction in district court. So it would go to a contested infraction hearing.
And it would have a lower burden of proof than a criminal charge, correct?
Correct. Preponderance of the evidence versus beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have anything additional on my end, but we do have some stuff from Mr. Brooks Schott here regarding private camping.
And just to tee it up a little bit, we tried to address a question raised by Commissioner Kearns with one of the constituents in his district that was having problems. And so we focused on private property camping. And the request was to essentially model what the city of Spokane Valley had adopted. We changed that a little bit to make it more enforceable and also to keep it out of the criminal justice system. We think that's a better solution, but up to the board to decide.
So as Matt said, the board requested our office draft an ordinance to protect the county from the detrimental effects of long-term camping on private land. The purpose is to protect and preserve the health, safety, and welfare of the county. Recognizing that long-term camping can cause particular nuisances, in form of solid waste, increased toll on emergency services, pest infestations, and then the general needs of the individuals who might be camping not be met to the relevant standards. The ordinance is limited in scope to only those properties where long-term camping is occurring. We've defined that long-term as more than 14 days within any 30-day period. This does not address public camping. We already have a public camping ordinance in Spokane County Code. And this also does not address the legislature's statute regarding religious encampments for the homeless. That is addressed by RCWs, and it's not part of the scope or the intent of this ordinance. The board has the general authority to do this through its general police powers, and the intent is for this ordinance to be enforced in the manner that was just presented to you as part of this new code enforcement. We've also built in numerous exemptions to this general ban that are either addressed by statute or already addressed by code. For example, we already have hardship and caregiving exceptions for persons who have a loved one that's living on their property in temporary, like RV situations. It doesn't include disaster sheltering for wildfires or floods, or other permitted uses. This doesn't regulate permitted camping, which we have in the county, for example, at Riverside State Park or those things where. So this is only affecting the unincorporated portions of Spokane County on private land, and it's is limited in its scope just to protect from those long-term consequences we see when these types of camping uses are prolonged.
My only request would be under the general rule, the 6.16.030, we could change the 30 days to 365 days under section 1 and 2. I think that brings it more in line with what the city of Spokane has. It's 14 days over a over a 365-day period, not just a 30-day period. And I think I think that's correct, right, Matt? I think that would bring it in line with what the city of Spokane has, and I think that would help take care of a lot of the issues of the complaints that I've been receiving in my office.
That is correct. We looked at that. Why did we go with within 30 days rather than a year? Because I know we looked.
The main motivation was to protect the use of private land by private persons. They own it. It's conceivable in Spokane County that an individual would be camping on land they own. We have lots of lakes and private uses. So I mean, between Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July, or Labor Day weekend, you can easily make it to that 14 days. That's why we drafted it as 14 consecutive days so that it wouldn't capture it. But I think it would be feasible and reasonable for a person in Spokane County to come and use their land in that manner. And that is not what this ordinance is designed to encapsulate.
So if the use is reasonable, then we feel like that proposed 365-day piece may not be enforceable.
Okay, because I mean, but when I go back up to the findings and purpose, I mean, the big issue, in my mind is the part that says without adequate sanitation or utilities. I mean, that's the big difference here. I mean, do we see a lot of people camping for over 2 weeks on their own property without sanitization or utilities? I mean, that's pretty lengthy amount of time for a property owner to be on their own property without a toilet or running water. In my mind, I mean, I'm not the most outdoorsy kind of guy, but that seems like a long time to me. I mean, I mean, the issues I get, that I'm receiving complaints from constituents or folks that are living in a van on private property that is not there, or they haul out a double wide that is not connected to running water, not connected to any type of septic system or anything like that. And I mean, 2 weeks of human waste and all that building up, I mean, that's a long time.
It is a long
So
time.
I mean, and going essentially 2 weeks, and then when a code officer comes out and they say, oh, no, I took a day off, I wasn't here. Or no, I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, the neighbor's wrong. But I mean, it allows us sort of the same situation where we're at now, where it's 30 straight days. And people just game the system because they say, well, no, I wasn't here when they said I was. But 14 days over a calendar year, I mean, if a neighbor can easily catch somebody that's violating it 14 days, then, over a year, then in a 30-day period. I don't know. That was just where my mind was going.
And that's why we wanted to brief the board to get the direction on what you would like the code to say. That's great.
Commissioner Jordan.
Can you talk about what tools the current code has, if any, to deal with these types of situations and how this changes that? I've had some situations along these lines in my district within the unincorporated area that have been resolved eventually, perhaps not as timely as I or others would have liked. So I'm just trying to get a sense of what the status quo is and how it would compare to this proposal.
My understanding of the status quo is that the code already has means for addressing things when they can be declared nuisances. So the accumulation of waste or improper disposal of waste, we already have mechanisms to address that. For example, not having proper septic systems, as Commissioner Kearns outlined, could be addressed by the Spokane Regional Health District. We already have a process to address some of those, but that's one of the reasons we wanted to pair this with our revised code enforcement presentation to just demonstrate that without that code enforcement ordinance changes, this would be one of those situations that would be difficult to address.
So just to follow up on that, the current code does address some of the sanitary pieces, but this would be adding the camping specifically.
That's correct. The current code does address some of the sanitary, solid waste issues, but the current code does not address the strain that this type of land use places on emergency services that aren't currently expected. For example, if there was a large number of people in a more rural area of the unincorporated county, it's not necessarily part of our comprehensive plan to provide the necessary fire or EMS services for that location. That's part of the long-term planning process. So that's the sort of use that this type of ordinance would be designed to address.
Commissioner Jordan, go ahead.
And can you say a little bit more about you mentioned like a state statute regarding some kind of religious exemption. Can you tell us more about what that is? I'm not familiar with that.
So that's RCW 3601-290. That is a statute that was passed to address the hosting of homeless persons by religious organizations. Essentially, the legislature set the ceiling for counties on what they can and can't regulate as it relates to those types of services due to First Amendment protections. So that is not addressed at all by this ordinance.
So if a church had some kind of a homeless housing facility on their premises, this wouldn't cover that essentially.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Scott?
Yeah, I think the intent of this change and to what I think Commissioner Kearns would like to see with the change to 365 days is not to impact individuals who are camping on their property, as was referenced earlier, for seasonal uses during the summertime and whatnot. Those would be expected to continue. It's really to address those that are the unsanitary, no running water, no ways of disposing of waste. And I do have experience with camping in RVs and whatnot, and I can say that 14 days is a extremely long time if I didn't have electricity, if I didn't have running water, if I didn't have septic. So it's really intended for those nuisance situations where individuals are perhaps camping on properties, or multiple people, a homeowner or landowner is allowing individuals, multiple RVs or whatnot, to be camping on their property, and they don't have any means of handling their solid waste disposal. They don't have any running water. It's unsanitary conditions, and giving tools to be able to address that in a more timely fashion versus, picking up and moving a foot down the street or whatever, and continuing on in the way that it has. And again, I know a number of the commissioners have received complaints around these things. So being able to have more of a responsive means to address those, I think, is the goal of these proposed changes.
Could this also be applied toward in-laws?
Toward what?
In-laws?
Yes, and we already have an.
Familiar relationship hamper the ability to enforce this.
Not from the county's perspective, no.
Okay. In-laws like fish. Hard to smell after a while.
Aside from the switch from 30 days to 365 days, any other comments, questions? We will make that change and keep it. Oh, Commissioner Waldron. Yep.
No, I just wanted to say I really appreciate all the work and I'm supportive of moving forward. And I'm flexible with the time frame that Commissioner Kearns suggested. I think whatever seems to work best for when we want to enforce.
Thank you very much for the feedback. We will make that amendment and keep it on for the public hearing on December 16th.
Hi, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work.
What you paying me for?
Yeah.
And commissioners, we'll come back after the public hearing, should the board choose to adopt all of these. We'll then come back through some future planning meetings and share some proposals on staffing this, because it is a new model. It's a different model. I think it's one that's going to be a lot more effective. And you obviously need to be able to see a way to fund it, to be able to put it in place. So the code changes are just step one. But ultimately, we've got to come back with a model and a funding source that gives you comfort and being able to do the things that you're wanting to see change through the code.
All right, next up on the agenda, we have the 2026 meeting schedule and the board and commissions discussion. Gina's handed out some documents, and I think these were emailed out too, were they not? Oh, actually, these are, yeah.
I think you may have gotten them last week, commissioners, from Gina.
Gina, do you want to start with the calendar?
It's the same then.
They're gonna be two separate documents. Did you want me to talk about the boards and commissions first, or?
On the boards and commissions, check the calendar.
This would be the two different topics. One is the meeting schedule for next year. And then the boards and commissions is those boards and commissions that are under the BOCC. Not some of them you actually are assigned to by your fellow colleagues on the commissioners, but these are primarily the advisory boards, and that discussion will be more around with the reduction of the Board of County or the deputy clerk position from 100% to 50%. The board had agreed to take some of those boards and commissions and assign them to your legislative assistants. So this is to go through that process and decide which of your LAs you want to assign to each of the boards and commissions to just manage the website, applications, vacancies, that sort of stuff. That is part of the responsibility. And I'm happy to go through that one first, unless you guys want to go through the calendar first.
I'm good either way. Gina, what's the easiest for you?
Let's start with the calendar.
Okay, we'll start with the calendar. Okay, so I think usually what we do is we just go through month by month and folks say if there's any time that they'll be out or days that of events we'll all be at. I see some of them are already on here, like the GSI fly-in, stuff like that. So I guess we'll just start with January. Again, this was emailed out. Is there anything in January of time where folks will be out of the office or things on January that you see don't look correct on here?
Oh.
Yeah.
The meetings for the 3 state boards I sit on are not on here yet. Each board has set its calendar, but they haven't sent out the invites yet. So just want to make you aware that those are not here yet, but they're on their way.
But none of them fall on Mondays or Tuesdays, right?
No, all of the board meetings are either Wednesday night or Thursday, Friday meetings.
Okay. All right.
So I was just noticing that we could still do the first Tuesday meeting on the 6th. I think last year we did move it up. Just because otherwise we go too many weeks without a meeting, but I'm just checking on that because we've got 2 weeks in between other meetings. And we wouldn't be doing a Monday meeting because of the strategic planning the next week.
The strategic planning are typically the first and the third Monday.
Yeah.
So we meet
I'm not
the first
opposed.
and the third, we would do strategic and regular meetings on Tuesday for the veterans.
Right, I think with Martin Luther King, we start to get into those Monday holidays, so we're not gonna have, so I think that's why the 12th and the 26th work for strategic planning meetings for the month. I think we have to adjust them in some of those months where we have a bunch of Monday holidays.
Yep, that's consistent with what we did the last couple of years. Typically, the strategic planning meeting per your code is first Monday and third Monday of the month. But knowing that, as Commissioner CUNY just mentioned, there are a variety of Monday holidays. So when that's happened, we've typically shifted the strategic planning meeting to like the second and third, or the second and fourth, or the first and the fourth, just to adjust for that, so we still have 2 a month.
The schedule that's presented allows us to do strategic planning on the 12th and the 26th, and we missed the holidays, so why would we shift that?
Okay,
Only if you want. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
we're just stating that Gina was stating that we normally do it the first and third, but it is being presented to change it because of having the Monday holiday on the third Monday. So that's why we're proposing to change it. And then I'm just proposing that we do it the Tuesday, the 6th, normal Tuesday meeting.
I don't know, I like it the way it is.
I don't know, I mean, Scott, any drawback if we don't meet on the sixth?
Well, there
Any
there
issues
is
rising?
generally a buildup of items over the holidays. I know it's a little bit slower with people taking time off, but the last meeting of the year will be the 16th. So that means that if we don't meet until the 12th, there's just doing some rough math, that's probably 3 weeks in between. So there might be some value in meeting on the 6th, even though you leave the strategic planning on the 12th. But that's your guys' choice.
Where would we do the briefing for what we would vote on the sixth?
On the 16th of
Oh.
of December, we'd be briefing for what's going to be on the 6th versus delaying to have a whole bunch that would then, you know, there would be 3 weeks of no briefings that couldn't get on the 13th agenda.
Okay,
Yep.
I gotcha. Okay.
And then the 6th, the briefing on the 6th morning would be on your regular legislative on the 13th, if that's what you chose.
Okay.
I'm just proposing, seeing how agendas typically work, that we would do a meeting on the 6th to not have stuff get too backed up for stuff that needs to get approved at the first of the year.
So in Civic Clerk, I haven't released any dates for 2026, so we have nothing that's up right now, but if I
Okay.
put it on that, so.
Okay, apparently as of right now in Civic Clerk, there is nothing for the sixth, but that could change, is what Gina's saying. So,
Again, there's no time sensitivity to it. And so to have one meeting, I mean, if we're expecting staff to submit stuff on the 16th of December for a meeting on the 6th of January, there's 3 weeks there that, you know, I don't know how they anticipate that.
I think, Commissioner, the intent would be if you held a meeting on the 6th, then anything that our staff brought forward for briefing on the 16th would show up on the 6th. If there's no desire to meet on the 6th, then there could be a situation or multiple where on the 13th, there's a number of requests for board briefing in the morning of the 13th and action in the afternoon. That's just a chance that may happen depending on timeliness of items needing to take action by the board. I don't know what that looks like right now. The team is pretty adept at knowing kind of when the commissioners are meeting and planning their briefings out to be able to have items for action to meet the timelines. So that's also likely to be done.
After a very tough budgeting cycle and having staff have worked as hard as they have to get a budget that we could pass today, I think it'd be nice to be able to give them a break and not meet on the 6th and you know, whatever we deal with on the 13th, it's not going to have that degree of time sensitivity. If it does, we call a special meeting, but it would just, I don't know, I think it'd be nice to give people a break.
Commissioner Jordan?
I'm good either way. Just wanted to throw out perhaps the CEO and the chair could be in communication a few, somewhere maybe after Christmas, but before the new year to determine if that meeting is needed, if there are some time sensitive items, and then we could just set a meeting on the 6th if it's needed at the time. So we could play it by ear. That's just an option, but I'm fine either way.
Yep, and we can certainly do that, and the staff will know what your meeting schedules are once you set those, and they'll adjust accordingly. And if there is anything that comes up, we can certainly raise that as a potential need to meet other than what the public schedule is.
I think that sounds like a great idea. Okay, anything else in January? No, okay, we will move on to February. See, we do have President's Day that is listed on here. Those. Also just want to highlight, don't anybody forget February 14th. You get in trouble if you forget about that.
What's on the 14th?
Oh, wow. Okay, we all good here? See, we have the two strategic plannings on the second 16th, or I'm sorry, second and 23rd, bumping it because of the holiday. Okay. Flip to March.
So I will be out from March 18th to through April 1st.
What were those again?
March 18th through April 1st. I know there'll be a lot of wringing of hands and weeping, but I'm gonna take it off anyway.
Anything else in March? Any planning or traveling anyone has? No. Okay, we have our strategic planning on this on the 6th, or I'm sorry, on the 2nd and the 16th. April. It's like April is when GSI has their DC fly-in. Anything that anyone sees on April that needs adjusted, changed, or added?
That first week of spring break.
Yeah. Yeah, last week of March, or, you know, and then into the first week of April, we have we have a week off there for spring break.
Do you want to do a strategic on the 27th to make up for the 20th?
Scott, think we'll have stuff to go over?
Hard to anticipate. I recall this last year, during the first part of the year, there were a number of strategic planning meetings that were canceled because we didn't have any topics. Might be nice to have a placeholder, but also knowing that if we don't have any items or don't have enough items, we can cancel it and push it to a future meeting.
Easier to take down than put up usually.
Okay.
Yep. That way it avoids a special meeting if we need to.
Understood.
So have the 9A strategic on the 27th.
You guys good there? Any objection to that? Nope. Okay.
Coming off the week before being, you might have a build up. Stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll add a strategic planning 9 AM on April 27th. All right, May. Our two strategic plannings are the 4th and the 18th. Don't see anything else that month outside of our Tuesday meetings. Anything that anyone sees missing or wants added, changed? No?
Do we want to do May 6th as a recovery date for Cinco de Mayo?
Al goes crazy on Cinco de Mayo.
Saying.
Al loves tacos and tequila. So. All right, let's get to June. Anything on June? We have the 1st and the 15th as our strategic planning. Looks like at the end of June.
4th of July break.
Oh, well, there we are. Yep. Yeah, we have the final 2 days of June and then leading into the First week there of July for the 4th, we have off. Anything that anyone needs added, changed? No? Okay. July. Again, first week off, and then also the final week, we usually take off there for the start of our sort of summer break into August, but our 2 strategic planning, 6th and the 20th. Anything else in there, folks? Need added travel changes, anything? Okay. We'll move to August. So we are taking that first week off of August. We're gonna do strategic plannings on the 10th and the 17th. Anything else needed in there? Anything changes, any travel? Additions, subtractions?
Might suggest moving the strategic planning that's on the 17th to 24th.
Yeah.
Because we both,
Yeah, cause I see we have the 31st without one, and then the 7th is Labor Day.
Yep.
So yeah, that may make.
just space them a little bit.
Any objection to that, moving the 17th to the 24th? No, okay, let's do that. Okay. September. We got Labor Day in there, strategic planning on the 14th and the 24th or 21st. Anything there? Anyone needs changed? Travel?
Last year, that's when we, or this year. That's when we started holding all Mondays for budget. We did cancel a few along the way,
Okay.
but from Labor Day through Thanksgiving, we had at least the whole.
Okay.
I don't expect to bring in as many groups next year unless the board wants them all again. It's hard to know which ones we'll need though.
Yeah.
And with the budget projections for 27 looking somewhat similar to what we just went through, I would expect that we'll probably need to have meetings every Monday. So again, kind of Jeff's point earlier, it's easy to take off than add them on. So my suggestion would be every Monday that the board is meeting to have a strategic planning that's likely going to be centered around budget.
That's
So-
28th,
So starting in September, do that?
yeah.
I think so.
The one thing that we should be aware of is that next year, as we work to finalize the comp plan, it's not unusual for us to take like 2 or 3 days and tour all of the properties that are available that are wanting to be included in the UGA expansion. And so we should probably find with Scott Chesney some time to schedule that in.
I think that's another good reason to have our Mondays set up because, as you mentioned, Commissioner French, comp plan is going to be hitting the final stages end of 2026. So if we're fortunate to have our budget in a better situation earlier, there are likely going to be needs for those same meetings for comp plan related conversations.
Can you remind me, do we meet on Columbus Day?
We do, that's in.
We do, I was gonna say, I
I think we trained out for the Thanksgiving Friday.
Okay, I was gonna say, I thought we did, but okay, so.
So October, we do strategic on 12 and 26.
November, okay, or I guess I'm jumping ahead. October, we'll meet all the Mondays in October. Same as Tuesdays. Anything else in October folks can think of that needs added? Need planned travel? Nope, okay. November. We'll so we are meeting on the 2nd. We'll add in On the 9th.
Probably want to add the 16th as well. If we follow suit this year, that's when the commissioners took their actions on the levies, and we were able to finalize budget so that we could publish it in enough time for action the first Monday of December. So I don't know where Wasac's going to be. I don't know what your travel schedules, what travel schedules will look like at that point in time, but I would propose we have one on.
Let me, Commissioner CUNY. If Wasac was here, it's gonna be somewhere in Western Washington, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Do you, it's been a while since I've attended a Western Washington one. Do you usually travel on Mondays or Tuesday for that?
Usually at least some of us travel on Monday because Tuesday is when they do the board meeting and
Okay,
the LSE meeting.
so probably scheduling a strategic planning on that Monday is probably not a good idea then, right?
You can, if I think a year ago when it was in Vancouver, I
Yes,
traveled on
probably.
Sundays so I could zoom in on Monday.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility.
You wanna do that, or you want us to try to work around that day?
In the same situation.
But do you want to travel a day early and pay for the hotel room, or do we just, I mean, or can we take that action instead of on the 16th? Can we take that action on the 9th?
Essentially, we would need.
I think it's just tough on budget to do that. So it's better to give budget the
would need to be
opportunity.
done by the 9th then. Because then you have the 16th off, the 23rd off. Technically, we would have Monday the 30th.
Oh.
Because the first Monday to pass the budget, which the lawyers make me wait, is until December
That's
7th.
right. We're not doing, budget's a week later.
It's as late as possible.
Yeah, on the 7th instead of.
So there is the 30th.
But we have a
Well, the 30th is a useless day because you have to have it posted 15 days in advance.
Yeah.
Our post, yeah.
I would say it's probably just gonna be easiest for Al and I to travel on the Sunday and then zoom in on Monday.
Okay. All right.
Because I
Okay
think
with that?
otherwise you start pushing the budget office, tighter, and that way they know if there's any increases or not.
Okay. All right, so we'll add a strategic planning on the 16th. Okay.
In my mind, we would not need it on the 30th because it should be baked by then.
Okay.
Unless you would need it for comp plan stuff late in the season.
I might want to leave it for that reason, for
Well,
anything
there isn't one there yet. Do we want to add it to the
on the
30th
30th.
then? There's not one there right now.
Might not be a bad idea.
Okay.
I don't think
I
budget
don't-
would use it, but comp plan will.
Okay, let's add a strategic planning then on November 30th. And if it's not needed, then we'll cancel. If it is needed, it's there. Okay, so we got Wasac there in the middle of the month. We've got Thanksgiving there. Okay, this brings us to December. Okay, anything in December? Folks need changed. Justin, looks like we got our last meeting of the year will be the 15th. The week following budget. Everything look right?
I forgot to
Gina?
add strategic. for the board.
Yeah.
Okay,
You want a strategic on the 14th for comp plan if there's, I haven't been here for a comp plan.
yeah, I don't know.
Major.
I haven't been here either.
Yeah, we probably should because we've got to have it done before the 30th, and so that week is going to be the last week we've got to finish it up.
So put a strategic on the 14th.
Okay, add a strategic planning on December 14th. Okay. And Christmas and New Year's week. Okay. Okay, so that does it for the calendar. If there is any planned travel or anything, please let Gina know, just so she can make a note to the calendar, just so folks know as far as planning purposes go, and when we can do executive sessions and stuff like that. So any planned travel, please let Gina know. Okay. Let's move to our boards and commissions that we serve on before we go to the advisory committees and stuff. Okay, so I think we usually just start at the top and work our way down. So Aging and Long-Term Care of Eastern Washington. It's a 1-year term. Commissioner Jordan, you are tearing it up on that committee. Would you like to continue?
Happy to do so, and thanks for the endorsement.
Yeah, I hear nothing but good things. Okay, and then Commissioner Waldriff, we lost Commissioner Waldriff. Okay, she is the alternate. We'll leave her as the alternate.
Did I hear Jordan nominate Waldriff for Martin Hall?
Second. Actually, I nominated you. but
There
I
are
don't know whether
there are
second or not.
benefits to attend meetings. Okay, Airport Board, Commissioner French, so that is a 3-year term and it doesn't expire until the end of 27. So looks like you will stay on the Airport Board. And is there no alternate on that?
No.
No, okay. Okay, Broadband PDA, Commissioner CUNY? Is that one you want to stay on?
Yes.
Okay. Broadband PDA, Commissioner CUNY, Waldriff is the alternate. We'll leave her there. Canvassing Board goes to the chair, so we'll leave that. Fair Board, we're all ex officio. Finance Committee is chair. Forward Fairchild, Commissioner CUNY and French for alternate. We good to leave you two there?
I'm good. I don't think they even meet anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they haven't met for a while. I think they're trying to figure out what to do. So I'd leave it as a committee at this point in time, and then we'll figure it out.
All right, sounds good. GMA Steering Committee, currently is French, Kearns, and Waldriff. I'm happy to stay on.
So am
And I think Commissioner Waldriff would want to stay on too. So if there's no objection to that. Okay. Greater Spokane Inc. 2 years, expires at the end of 26, Commissioner CUNY, so we'll stay there. Hutton Settlement Advisory is the chair. Industrial Development Corporation, that's the one that we looked into that we have to keep on there, but they haven't met for quite some time. And assume you're okay to stay on, Commissioner French? Okay. All right, the Left Board, Commissioner Jordan,
Happy to stay.
okay. Law Library is the chair, Lodging Tax Advisory usually goes with Visit Spokane. I'm happy to stay on that if no objection. Martin Hall, okay, this is the one everybody fights over, that everybody wants.
I'm fine coming off.
Well, yeah, I see on here, the one we don't normally see, your alternate is Mike Sparber.
Yeah.
Well, if I thought I could get a second, I'd make a motion right now to appoint Commissioner French. I think he's the man for the job.
No, Commissioner Hutzel had said over his dead body.
Well, we'd hate to see anything happen to Commissioner Hutzel, so Commissioner Jordan, I think you may be you may be doing another tour of duty there on Martin Hall. Okay, Medical Examiner Advisory Council, we have Commissioner Waldriff and CUNY as alternate. Does anybody want to shift that up, change that? Nope, okay, we'll leave that. Northeast PDA, I'm happy to stay on there. Priority Spokane, Jordan and Waldriff.
I think this year we, because our funding level's gone down, we now have one board seat, and so I would come off, I think is the plan. And Amber,
Okay. So Commissioner Waldriff on that one. Okay. We will put Commissioner Waldriff on there. Do you know, does it come with an alternate? Is that one that you could move to the alternate position, or is there no alternate?
not sure. I can check on it and follow up.
Okay. Rail Consortium. We have French and Matt Zarakor as the alternate.
Yep.
Leave that one?
Yep.
Okay. Solid Waste Advisory Committee, Commissioner Jordan.
I'm happy to stay.
Okay. Spokane County Campus Security Committee, this says BOCC or designee, and we have Ashley Cameron, our HR director. Any, does anybody have a desire to change that, or should we leave Ashley on there? Okay. We will,
I think it makes sense to leave Ashley on there if that's okay with the board, given her oversight of security
all right.
and risk.
Last name Cloud now?
Oh, it is Cloud.
Yeah.
Cloud.
This is all Ashley Cloud. We'll get that corrected. Sorry. Spokane County Regional Interlocal Leadership Structure. It's the SCRILS. I think we're all on that, and it is run by the chair, so everything's good there. Spokane Regional Clean Air Agency. Currently Commissioner French, and then I am as alternate. Any
Yeah,
you
no.
good there?
Yeah, it's a 5-member board. We're losing 3 members this year or next year, so for sake of continuity, if nothing else, and I'm still the chair of the board.
Okay. All right, Spokane Regional Health District. I see we do need to add Commissioner Jordan's name here because there are 4 of us now. So it's currently Kearns, CUNY, Waldriff, and Jordan. At some point during the year,
Probably not,
Commissioner French, well,
probably not.
there is a possibility Commissioner
Probably
French
not.
could be added.
Can't see that happening.
But in the number of commissioners line, if we could change that to 4 and then add Commissioner Jordan's name, then we will be good. Spokane Regional, or I'm sorry, Spokane Regional Law and Justice Legislative Policy Committee. Is currently Commissioner Jordan. You could remain on there?
Yes.
Okay. SRTC is currently Commissioners French and CUNY, and then Kearns and Waldriff are alternates. Looks like Commissioner CUNY's term is actually ending, and then Commissioner French is done at the end of 27. Does anybody have a desire to
You're
change that?
welcome. Yeah, you're welcome to join, Josh.
Okay, if you need me to.
I mean, since my term's ending, you could take over.
Okay. All right, you want to add me on there?
Do we swap and put Commissioner CUNY as an alternate?
Would you like to be an alternate? Or
Yes, happy to be the alternate.
all right, we'll put CUNY as the alternate there. Okay. SRTC. STA is currently French and Kearns. And Jordan is the alternate. I'm glad to continue on.
Yeah.
Okay. Tourism Promotion Area Board. This one also goes hand in hand with Visit Spokane. So I'm glad to continue with that. U District PDA is currently Waldriff and Jordan. I assume Commissioner Waldriff wants to continue on that unless she told anybody she doesn't.
Did you say me on that?
What was that?
I'm sorry. Did you say it's Amber and who else?
It's Amber and you are the alternate.
Oh, okay. Very good. As far as I know, status quo is fine.
Okay. Valley Chamber is Commissioner CUNY. You good to remain there?
Happy to stay on.
Okay. Visit Spokane, I'd be glad to continue on. Wastewater Policy Advisory Board. This one traditionally goes to Commissioner CUNY and myself because it primarily deals with our two districts. So if there's no objection, we'll continue on there. Okay. West Plains PDA, S3R3. This one goes to Commissioner French. It's in his district. Workforce Development Council. I'm on this, and then Commissioner Jordan is alternate. We are actually in the process of selecting a new executive director, so kind of like to continue on and kind of bring that home if there's no objection.
I'm fine.
Okay. And then the Workforce Development Consortium goes with it. Then Washington State Association, Association of Counties. Is that one, do we put on our list? Is that the one seat that we
Yes,
get
this is
designated?
the one board position.
Okay. And then, so Commissioner CUNY,
I'd be
Yeah.
happy to stay on.
okay. And then Commissioner French, you
I
usually
do.
take LSC.
LSC, yeah.
Okay, which is, actually,
Next
okay,
one.
so these next ones, but these actually say not appointed by BOCC, it says. So I don't know how.
These are ones that are either governor appointees or, sometimes you just apply for a position.
Okay,
WASAC and WASAC selects you.
got it,
Like-
okay. Yeah. All right, well then I don't think we need to go through those then. Okay. All right, any changes, anything on here? Okay. Okay, and this will be on next week's agenda for adoption, or? Okay. All right. Well, if there's any changes between now and the posting of this, make your calls, lobby the other commissioners if anybody wants to jostle anything up, so. Okay, so who wants to lead off on the boards and commissions that we appoint to, the advisory committees?
I can cue it up here, Commissioner Kearns.
Okay,
So this is primarily the boards and commissions that you appoint others to. There are a few exceptions on here, like Solid Waste Advisory Committee. So as I mentioned earlier, with the deputy clerk going to 50%, the board has had agreed that you would divvy up the remaining boards and commissions to manage the administrative functions. I mentioned earlier, just making sure the website is updated with member structures, terms, names, minutes are posted, agendas are posted, and when a appointment is coming to the end of term, noting whether that person wants to consider it for reappointment or open it up and advertise for people who want to be considered to be appointed to it. So what I first did is I went through the boards and commissions and I identified some pretty close alignment to a department. You'll notice on here that for example, the Behavioral Health Advisory Board, the fourth one down, that's mostly connected with our Community Services Department. So I've asked them to manage all the administrative responsibilities. Same with Deferred Compensation Committee, HR, Development Disabilities Advisory Board being Community Services, Fair and Expo Advisory Board being our Fair and Expo, Growth Management Steering Committee, Planning. I won't go through all of them, but you'll see where I've taken a lot of the items off of who to assign it to that had a direct connection to departments. So everything with if there are any commissioners that serve on one of these advisory boards, then we made an assumption that you'd want your legislative assistant to be able to manage that. So Aging and Long-Term Care, Commissioner Jordan was on that. Chris's name was on there. Port Board, Commissioner French is on that. Victoria was the assigned LE. So essentially what's left is anything in the highlighted section, which was reduced down to, I think, 18 maybe, was needed for your conversations about which of your LAs you want to assign for administering the board on the web page and the position applications, all that sort of stuff. Actually, it's down to 15, so it kind of comes out pretty evenly, 3 apiece.
Well, I'm almost thinking this may be a better exercise that we let the 5 of them get together and divvy them up amongst each other. Maybe based on, interest in topic or something like that, or if they see a nexus of something that they want to kind of track or follow, rather than us just, picking 3 and saying, take this. If there is some relationship that they may have with the director or the other folks that are maybe on that board, it might be a better exercise for them to maybe divvy them out amongst themselves. And then we just, if we don't see any issue with it, then we just affirm it.
I think it's a solid.
But there's some of these boards that some of us have an expertise in, and there's some of these that, quite frankly, you look at the No Shooting Advisory Committee. Well, Jordan and Waldrop aren't going to have any shooting ranges inside their jurisdiction. So it really makes more sense for either Kearns, Cooney, or I to do that. Board of Equalization, I'm happy to do that because I've got a real estate background and know how that process works. And Veterans Affairs, obviously I'm the only vet in the board. So, a couple of these pop up as logicals, but I just offer that as an observation.
Well, just know, so like if you were to take those 3, they would actually go to Victoria, and it's just she would post the notice when there's a vacancy for it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Jump in, so Victoria's name in on those ones then?
I'd be okay with that, yeah.
So Board of
And
Equalization.
Commissioner French on veteran services, you can certainly have Victoria do that if that's what your desire is. Alternatively, I've already talked with Kat and Chris about taking that responsibility on. So it's one less thing because they're most familiar. They work with that board. They know when the meetings are. They know when membership is up for end of term, that sort of stuff. But no issue whichever way you guys want to go.
Well, and on the Planning Commission, each one of us has an appointment to that.
Yeah, but
You do, and
there's
our planning department manages that today.
rather than Gina and Shelley.
Okay.
And I think on the Veteran Services Committee, we all have different appointments as well. So, it's not that it's one commissioner taking over, it's just making sure we manage to make sure that everybody's getting their people approved for their districts on these committees.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that nothing falls through the cracks, and there's not
Yeah.
a vacancy just stretching out and out and out. So.
Yep.
All right, well, let's task the 5 of them to get together and kind of go through these and and divvy them up amongst themselves, and if we don't see any problems with what they bring back, we'll approve it. If there's no objection to that.
Should we target finalizing this by the week of the 15th?
I'm fine with that if everyone else is.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You all
Yes,
good? Actually? Behind the pillar? You good?
I can send out a meeting invitation to try to get calendars going.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Okay. All right, guess that brings us to miscellaneous. Pat, anything going on? We've done a few things today, so I assume the media is reaching out.
Morning, commissioners. Yes, a couple of media requests on the budget. With the chair traveling, we'll handle this with the vice chair. I anticipate two, the paper, TV, possibly 2 TVs. So we'll work around your schedule to get those set up. And might have our subject matter experts available as well.
Awesome. Should be right there, Jeff. We're gonna get you some FaceTime today, buddy.
Don't like the media.
I did see a few proclamation requests come in, but I think those will be handled in the new year.
Any other miscellaneous items?
Just kind of an FYI, doing the spotlight this month, and I'm doing an interview with our SIA CEO, Mr. Dave Herring, and introducing him to the community, so
Very good.
Is that our last official spotlight?
yes.
Well, studio, our last one.
Out with the blaze
Yeah.
of glory.
We did post some, Sharissa took a couple of clips from the last spotlight, and I anticipate we'll do that more going forward. Just little highlights to get people to watch the whole episode, but at least they capture, a minute of it.
All right. Commissioner CUNY, any miscellaneous items?
no, I'm good.
All right, what interest rate are you gonna get us?
Just hoping for a good one.
All right, that's good, that's good.
Well, non-committal. Let's see, 2.5.
The best we can.
Yeah, that's not happening in today's market.
Anything less than 2.5, you can stay there.
Yeah, bet them like, you flip a quarter and it's like heads, we get 2.5, tails, we get whatever the normal rate is, so. Okay, Scott, anything for us today?
Nope, nothing for me, Commissioner.
Okay. All right, well. Yeah.
Scott, Commissioner Cooney, did we have an executive session with the sheriff this morning or not?
No, he and I had talked and he's not gonna be available.
Okay, thank you. Nothing
Yeah, we'll have to punt that one to another week.
Okay. Another week or tomorrow?
No, he doesn't have availability this week. We'll have to find
okay.
when he has availability, so we'll reschedule it.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, then it is 11:51 and we are adjourned for the day.